Hey folks, welcome back to Total Money Management. Today we're on the theme of predictions and forecasts and things like that. I'm back with Steve as always. But just before we get into it, at the end of every year and at the beginning of every year, you got all these experts talking about what's happened and what that means for the future and things like that. And we wanted to spend a little bit less time talking about what we think will happen, because we talk about that every week.
And it probably won't turn out to be wrong.
Yeah. It probably won't turn out right. Anyway, and more so, let's talk about how people get to that result.
Yeah.
How do we calculate the predictions and the processes?
Yeah, decision-making sort of stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully it provides you, the listener or the audience, something a bit more of an edge to think about when you're making your decisions as well. So we might kick off talking about emotions, the brain.
Yeah, this is not. I think this is a bit underplayed in the general market but it's also been some really advances in science about how the brain works, right, and the impact that it has. Now, the reason why is because, and I'm not going to do this justice because we haven't got enough time, but we go into this deeper in the course.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on it because it's important. Again, the reason why, if you understand this stuff and you get it, you can catch yourself before you do dumb stuff.
Yes.
Right? So what we sort of know now is the brain is a prediction machine, right? The brain is locked away in this safe, right? And it doesn't know how to keep itself alive. And so what it does is it has eyes, ears, right? The five senses, right? Smell, taste, blah, blah, blah. And it says, righto, listen, you guys, keep sending this information up to me. I'm going to make a decision and I'll send it and we'll do it, right? So the brain is this sort of supercomputer that's predicting in nanoseconds. Now, what it does is it basically makes those predictions as you grow up based on experience, right? Every time I see Jacob, he's angry and punches me in the face. Here comes Jacob. Oh, my God, my palms are sweaty. Yeah. Why are my palms sweaty? Because your brain's going, oh, man, this guy's going to punch me in the face.
Or you go on further and go, I'm not going to see Jacob today.
Yeah. Avoid Jacob. Yeah. But it's a really important point, right? Because what you do is, in stock markets, people invest emotionally, right? And that's where they get things like recency bias comes in, right? Yeah. Oh, man, last time I did this, I lost 20%. I've got to get out now, right? That's an emotional decision. And that's coming from your brain. And your brain is saying, what's my experience, right? And part of the problem with people who haven't experienced investing is if they go in and make a lot of money, guess what? The brain's going, dude, you're going to be making lots of money because you don't know about market cycles or any of that sort of stuff, right? The important part is if you get to understand that stuff, there's on two fronts. You get to understand groupthink, which we'll talk about a little bit further. You understand that you then become patterns, right? People are patterns. So as I often say, I could observe you for 3 weeks and then I could give you a fair idea about where you're going to be on Saturday morning, right? Like you said a couple of weeks ago, your Google thing says, hey, you're going to Harness Creations at Paddington, right? Yeah. I would say if I watched you for a month, I'd go, oh, yeah, Saturday. All right, yeah, it'll probably be at that place at Paddington, right? Because that's the pattern, okay? And your brain is doing that and recording all of that data, all of that stuff, right? Because it helps the brain make the next decision.
Yeah.
Okay? So the thing is you construct your emotions. And again, it's really important because what that means is you can control them. And that's why there's a lot of the really rich people, Ray Dalio and all that people talk about meditation, right? Because it calms down those emotions and it allows them to be in control, right? So that's what I got up there at the moment. So
for me as well, if you have a framework, which we'll talk about, but if you have a framework in place, it allows your brain, it allows you to think about something in a different way.
Yes.
To go, okay, rather than being in fight or flight and should I not invest or take money or whatever it is, I'm going to follow this process.
Yes.
Which means I don't have to be so anxious about it or something.
That's exactly why systematic investing is really important, right? Because what you're doing is saying, how do I avoid doing the dumb stuff? where does the dumb stuff comes from? The dumb stuff comes from emotional stuff like panicking or panic buying or panic selling, right? And that's why systems are really important, because it gives you the discipline to say, I don't do that. I'm staying with my system. I know it works. Okay, well, that's my edge. Okay.
Yeah, you only need it to be right 51 out of 100 times.
Sort of,
to make money.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is what I'm just showing here. I won't delve into it a lot. Daniel Kahneman, who wrote Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow, came up with System 1 and System 2. System 1's your emotional brain, right? It's the one that kicks in straight away, right? That's how you make decisions. Oh, my God, the market's gone down 5%. I've got to sell. Rather than going, okay, that's interesting. I better have a think about this. In fact, I might even buy some stock, right? See how you can flip that around?
Yep.
So it's the fast, instinctive one. The one you want to use in investing, long story short, is System 2. Okay, market's down. Let me have a think about that, right? What's the valuation? And that's where you can get an edge over other investors by not getting into all of that emotional stuff, recency bias, right, priming, all of those things that the market does, FOMO, right?
Yeah. So it's your logical side. And the question is, how do you, if System 1 is my natural instinct,
yes,
how do I get to system? That's the question, right?
Yeah. How do you look in the mirror and go, I need to get to System 2?
Yeah.
Right? Now, it's, I'm not saying you go, oh, right, okay, now I know, and that's easy. It's not.
No, it's really damn hard.
Absolutely. And the hard part is you don't even realise you're in it.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, right? Because System 1 kicks in first and System 2 comes in later, so this is why the market is emotional, and this is why Ben Graham said it's a voting machine, then a weighing machine. A voting machine means we're all emotional, and then after a while we go, oh, okay.
Should I have done that?
Reality kicks in, right? In other words, you now look at it and go, okay, that was the wrong thing to do. And you did it because your emotions were going, dude, get in the market, FOMO. Right?
Well, this is a classic example, and I won't spend too much time on it, but the way the market's done something, prices dropped 10% or so, and maybe I'm talking about Bitcoin now, and then I've looked at it and gone, oh, no, all good, I'll rebalance into that. And then I've woke up at 4 a.m. and just sold everything.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this, I'm too afraid.
Yeah. So what you were saying at the start, how do we make the decisions? Generally, there's this thing called social physics. What we realise is we used to think everybody was this rational individual, right? And that's what all the theories do. What social physics said was, no, Jacob talks and that influences Steve. And Steve and Jacob talk and that influences Tom. And Tom, Steve and Jacob talk and suddenly we've got everybody's buying property or everyone buying NVIDIA, right? Generally, you get it from family and friends, right?
You trust.
Yeah. Dad said the stock market's a casino, right? The stocks are terrible. And he said, always buy a property, son, you'll never go wrong, right? All that sort of stuff. The other side is your individual beliefs. And we talked about that with the Enneagram and your personality, right? You're a 3, I'm a 7. Come hell or high water, we want to get interested in money.
Yep.
Even if Dad said the stock market's a casino, we go, right, we're going into property, right, or something.
I'll figure out how to card count.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one is the knowledge, right? How much do you know about what you're doing? Part of the problem is there we get overconfident. But again, this is all this stuff that ties into how you make decisions and predictions.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why they come out with all these predictions. And, let's be honest, by February, no one's going to be talking about what they said in January, right? It's the old fish and chip wrapper.
It rarely gets to the end of the year and we rarely look back and go, what did we say?
Well, how many people said, I'll go back and have a look and see what I said about 2024? Right? They just sort of go, yeah, good year, great year. Yeah, who cares what I predicted? Now we're going to 25.
Next.
Right? Yeah. So just the last one there, the personal motives of any individual is conditioned by 2 influences. First of all, you've got your internal stuff, your personality, your aims and beliefs, right? And external stuff is the perceptions of the situation and the environment, right? Everybody's in money, everybody's in property. Dad always said property was a good investment. I'm going to get into property investing, right? That's generally how it works. So just jump on to the next one, mate. So the other part that I just mentioned is groupthink, okay? And groupthink is really important because, as you know, we all get, no one other than bloody Warren Buffett is rational all the time. And so you will get influenced by people who, talk to you, what you read in the newspaper. Everybody's in the video. I must be wrong.
Oh, it's so ingrained into our psyche, and it's going back 60,000 years.
Yeah, it's in our DNA.
Yeah, we had to survive getting eaten by lions or whatever.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's why we hang around in a crowd.
Yeah.
One of us will get it. Hopefully it's not me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's the reality.
Yeah, it's the same thing with markets.
Yeah, absolutely.
99 people say buy.
Well, for every winner there's a loser. So, but the stuff with groupthink is really interesting because, again, it wasn't what fundamental ratios do is take away the groupthink element of it, right? And so you listen to someone about a fundamental argument about NVIDIA. Right? It doesn't matter if the P is 300, Jacob. It's a really good growth company. It's got a really good story, right? Blah, 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 blah. You start to say, okay, P100, the PE is 300, but Steve's got a good argument about that. So you ignore the 300 PE.
Well, the newest story about PE is that there should be a new age PE
and
an old age
PE.
Yeah.
Those old things don't work anymore, Steve, and we're in robotics and AI, right? Exactly what I heard in the internet, right? As I said, nobody's going shopping anymore. It's all going to be online. Well, after 25 years, online shopping's still tiny, 10%, right? People love going to shops because it's socialising, coffee.
It's groupthink.
Absolutely. We're around other people. We can see what everyone else is wearing, buying, eating and stuff. And so in markets, though, this is where you want to be contrarian. So you want to actually be against the crowd. So as Buffett says, what is it? Be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful, right? And that's again, really hard part to do, right? Because as we mentioned in, I think it was last week with Maynard Keynes, the market can stay irrational for a bloody long time, right? So what the couple of things here, those last two, right? Social influence tends to push the crowd towards an inaccurate estimate while also narrowing the range of individual opinions, signalling apparent certainty in the result. Go to a dinner party and tell people property's outrageously expensive. Mate, you will get held down, held west and crooked, right? Because everyone else in the party's got an investment property, right? So they're not, do you know what I mean? They're not going to canvass an argument that says, you idiots, right? Go to someone with NVIDIA, Bitcoin, right? Yeah. Tell them blah, blah, blah. No, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Because we are all hanging around people who confirm our biases. Even me with market being expensive.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I read disconfirming evidence to say, okay, maybe I'm wrong. I need to look at these CAPE arguments. Maybe these guys are right.
Yeah.
Okay? At least familiarise yourself with them.
Yeah. Right? Look at the opposite and then judge it for yourself.
Yeah. You have to do that, Jacob, because if you don't, you're gonna end up following the crowd. Right? So social influence also creates a truly unpleasant combination of stupidity, right, and increased confidence, resulting in the unwarranted confidence of the crowd, right? That's why I'm saying, it's a sort of like cocaine brain. You get stupid because you can't possibly see how NVIDIA will fall, right? And I think I've said this before where, this is why I talked about the brain earlier, because your brain is in there with recency bias and priming, right? And saying, dude, you're a legend. You bought that property. You know what you are doing, right? And that's what's going on. And everybody else is admiring me and asking me for advice, so I know what I'm doing, right? And that's what goes on, right? And that's why often it's young men that get caught in the storm, because they don't have the experience. And when someone old like me says, hey, listen, mate, you might want to be a little bit easy, I don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing.
Testosterone's
Right?
flowing.
Yeah. And they're talking to all their mates and they're all telling them how they're trading day options and, all of this sort of stuff, right? So, and that's what I mean. When the market's rising, you get the unwarranted, right, crowd going, oh, it's so fantastic, right? Don't listen to that old idiot on that podcast. What does he know? Look at it. He's missed out on all these returns, right? So, okay, so the statistics of prediction.
You got a bit of PTSD there.
Yeah. This is the stuff that I try to do with System 2, right? And the reason why is because numbers tell you something, right? Now, you don't have to believe them, but they tell you a story, right? So if you look at investing, right, you don't make one decision, right? You're 30, right? You're going to buy what? 200 stocks over your lifetime, right? If you're talking individual companies. What you have to do is, first of all, think dynamically, not statically. And what that means is you have to say to yourself, Jacob, you don't need to buy every single goddamn thing that looks like it's going to go up, right? You will be buying stocks at 40. Your life doesn't end at 30 and, tomorrow, right? Yeah. So that's the first thing. Don't listen to experts, right? Because they're just guessing and their prediction rate is shithouse. Right? So just don't listen to them, right? Listen to them and then think, okay, they're probably wrong. What else should I be doing?
And you're talking about like stock tipping or something.
Yeah, well, just, there's all of them saying, Steve, what do you think will happen for 2025? Jesus, I don't know. It could go up 8%, could go down 50. I've got no idea. But all the experts are in there going, they all hang around about 10, right? Because that's the average return, right? So, imagine if I went, I think stocks will go up 60%. People go, you're an idiot. But if I say, I think, 10%, the economy's strong, boom, 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 right? People go, okay, very that's wise. Good. If I said to them, I'm expecting a market crash, go down, 60, NASDAQ probably down 80, people would be going, fucking idiot, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Because it's too extreme.
Yeah.
Right? Now, this one's important. Let's say you're 30, right? Imagine if I said to you, right, are you going to make 300 stocks, picks?
Yep.
Okay. You have to say to yourself, how many of those need to be winners and how many losers? Now, what we know is individual stock picking is really, really hard, right?
Very hard.
85% of fund managers don't beat the market. Okay, well, that means their stock picking ability is below average. Why the hell do you think you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Right? So not just, and I'm not talking, you choose NVIDIA once, I'm talking about over the next 30 years. Because what you find, Jacob, is young fellas who choose NVIDIA and get rich then go and blow it. Yeah. Right? Because they think,
don't know what they're doing.
They get overconfident. Man, I picked NVIDIA, I'm going to pick the next NVIDIA, right? All this sort of stuff, right? So you have to, again, look at the statistics and say, well, fund managers don't beat the market. Okay, well, I probably don't know much as a fund manager. Okay, well, what about just the pure odds of stock picking winners? Okay, well, it's like card games, right? How many hands do I think I can win, right? Okay, now the good bits. You need a systematic approach, right? That will get around your brain going, sell, Jacob, right? You get a systematic approach like the old fella, right? And that's what we try to do in the Wells program. Here are ways to invest, ignore everything else.
Yep.
Right? Now, why do we do that? Because we're building wealth over the long term. Right? Yes, I can maybe get rich in 12 months if I buy Bitcoin or NVIDIA or something, but the odds are slim. Right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. What have I got there? Yeah, predictions for next week, next day, next month, next year, they don't matter. Right? It doesn't matter what happens next week. Right? It's useless for me to say what's going to happen in 2 weeks. Mate, I don't know.
Well, it folds into what you need as well. So I think we've spoke about this a while ago as well. Pick your time frame.
Yes.
What's your time frame? Do I have a systematic approach for that specific time frame? And then it doesn't matter about anything, about price, if it goes up or down or whatever else. Because okay, for the next 5 years, this is how I'm going to invest. For the next 30 years, this is how I'm going to invest.
Yep. And that's the importance of having a system.
Exactly.
Right. So that's why you need an edge. Right. And an edge is something that I know that others don't know. And it can be as simple as I understand the CAPE ratio. I understand asset allocation. I understand rebalancing, right? That can be your edge. You can be an edge in technical analysis, right? Don't lose money, have a stop loss, it's 2%, and you just ride the winners all the time, right? But the main point there is you've got to have an edge. You won't have an edge investing emotionally, right? Or making predictions, right? Because every one of your predictions, if you think about how many you're going to make, not just in investing but in life, you probably get most of them wrong, right? I still do it, right? I look at the market and think, oh, it'll be a good day today. Bloody thing goes down, right? And I look at it and go, oh man, I'm going to get killed today. And go, oh, okay, then the day up, that's good. I think to myself, Stephen, you're an idiot. Half an hour ago you were going, oh no, the market's terrible, right? Like I catch myself going, Stephen, that's terrible. Stop it, right? Yeah. Just stop predicting.
You can't help yourself. No one can.
But again, that's the thing. See, it's the brain. The market's gone down. Oh, it's going to go down further. Oh, what's it doing going up again? Right? Unexpected event. Oh, now it's turning around. Maybe I should start buying some, right?
You're getting gaslighted by the stock market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the big issue is consequences, right? What's the impact of each decision on your portfolio? That's the thing, right? And what we talk about is how can I lose money permanently, right? It's the old Russian roulette stuff, right? 83% chance of winning $1 million, but if you lose, you drop dead. Okay, well, you need to think about the consequences, right? You can be both long and short the market, right? So again, we talked about that, and there's a picture coming up next we'll talk about. But the key is asset allocation, okay? That's where you make your money. Yeah. Right? This is the one about hedging, and also about being long and short.
So this is in Nassim Taleb's book,
Fool by Randomness. Yeah. So again, what he's trying to get people to understand there is it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. It's how much do you make and how are you invested, right? So this is the market goes up. There's a 70% probability. The outcome is it'll probably go up 1%, right? So the expectation is 0.7. The market goes down 30%, but if it goes down 30, the probability is lower, but the outcome's a lot higher.
So if it goes down 10%.
Yep. The expectation's -3. So together, there's a negative expectation, okay? And this is why we talk about hedging and that sort of stuff, because what long-short funds are trying to do is adjust the allocation so they might be 70% long and 30% short, right? But they'll change that. It might then go 60-40, 80-20, 90-10, right? But that's, again, what I'm saying is the predictions, you don't want to do predictions. What you want to do is say, okay, how do I not lose money? Oh, okay, well, I won't put everything in the long portfolio. That's one way of not losing money.
Yeah.
In actual fact, the money might, the stocks might go down. Okay, well, I should probably have a little bit in it going down.
So if we reevaluate this formula to, let's just say, the S&P 500 today, the probability of the market going up is actually lower based on things like the CAPE ratio.
Yes.
So, and the probability of the market going down is actually higher based on those values.
Yeah.
So why would you be investing heavily in the market going up is the theme, I think.
I think it's what's that saying? Something about that's the way to bet, like they're the stats and that's the way to bet. But our point being, what you're doing there is, and again, this hasn't got a time frame, but what all the pundits are doing and the financial experts are doing is talking about 2025. First question, does it really matter to my portfolio? Jacob, you're 30, right? It doesn't matter much to a bloke of 30. Then you can walk through it. Okay, they're all saying 8%, on average. Okay, well, we've had 2 years at 25. Oof, okay. CAPE ratio's at 39. Oof, okay. Everybody's in the tent in the US. Oh, okay. Everybody's in the Mag 7 in the US, right? Okay. So you start to build a place where you go, I'm starting to lose the urge to buy NVIDIA, right? Because you're saying now, oh, I'm missing out. But now you're putting stuff into your brain going, hang on a second, this is bloody risky.
Getting into system 2.
Yes, right? And that takes time. But if you're always looking at predictions of people going, oh, it's all going to be good, it's all going to be good, or vice versa, right? It's all going to be bad, it's all going to be bad. As that one shows, it's how you asset allocate your money. I'd be happily wrong every day of the week if I'm making $1 million.
Yeah.
Right? That's the way, that's the way it is.
Okay.
There's one more. Is there one more slide?
No, that's it.
That's it. Right, okay.
Done and dusted. So let's summarize. So the first thing, when you're looking at investing, you need to understand your personality and your brain. Quite often we're going to be in system one just naturally, especially if there's some volatility.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do we learn and train ourselves to get into system two, which is having things like a framework and having some systematic approach to investing?
Yep. Have market knowledge where you must have knowledge to override that emotion. Right? I think it was, might have been Howard Marks or someone else said, Taleb actually, it was Taleb who said, it's useless trying to defeat it with well, it's not useless, but it's very hard to use system 2 to overcome system 1. And he said, what you've got to do is you've got to replace system 1 emotion with another emotion. So if you're really greedy, you use capes high, blah, 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 to go, oh, my God, actually, in fact, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Right? So you replace the greed with the fear.
Right.
And it's the same when the market crashes, right? Your heart's beating faster, your brain's going burko because you're down 50% or the market's down. That's when your system 2 says, hang on, dude, the cape's at 10, right? That's where you've got to overcome your fear with greed.
Yeah.
Right? Buy when there's blood in the streets, that stuff.
That makes sense. Cool. I think that's all.
Yeah, that's about it, I think. It's just a general thing where people make predictions all the time, and it's really important for investors just to take a bit of a rain check and go, hang on, how did your predictions go last year?
Yeah.
Right? How did they go the year before? Right? Because that's a way you can get that system 2 going by saying, actually, I'm going to check this guy and see if he's any good.
Yeah.
Right? And again, at a broad level, well, hang on, 84% of fund managers don't beat the market. So do I really need to listen to these blokes?
Am I going to find the 16% that can? Or?
Yeah. Or, as I say, go and buy a book, right? Go and buy a good book from Robert Schiller or something. Start reading up and building your own system 2 knowledge, right? Because that's the way you'll overcome system 1.
Brilliant. Good. Well, if you have any questions, as always, reach out. Or if you'd like to know more about how we teach this in the Wells program, obviously, reach out and ask us some questions. But until next time, Steve, thank you.
Cheers, mate.
As always, remember, we don't provide financial advice.